The camera spotlight came so fast, barely giving room to hide. In the midst of the hustle and bustle of the entertainment world that is always thirsty for unexpected moments, 1 second can turn into a global topic of conversation. And this time, all eyes are on Jungkook, a figure who has been known to be calm, professional, and rarely shows anything too personal in public. But who would have thought, just because of one short expression when discussing Lisa's name, the virtual world immediately exploded with various unstoppable speculations. Just a fraction of a second. Nothing more. But it's enough to make millions of pairs of eyes feel something different. Jungkook, who previously looked relaxed, suddenly showed a very subtle change in expression, but it felt real. His eyes widened slightly. His lips seemed to be restrained from reacting too far, and there was a short pause before he continued his answer. For ordinary people, maybe it's just a normal reaction. But for fans who have followed Jungkook's journey for many years, such a small change is not something that can be ignored. Netizens also began to dissect the moment from various angles. The video was slowed down, the screenshots were enlarged, some even analyzed their movements and body language in detail. "That is not an ordinary expression," wrote one of the social media users. "He looks shocked, but also trying to hide something." Speculations popped up non-stop. Some think that Jungkook was just surprised because he didn't expect Lisa's name to be mentioned in that context. There are also those who believe that the reaction shows a certain relationship that has never been revealed to the public. In fact, some wild theories began to associate the moment with old interactions that were previously not paid much attention to. But behind all that, there's one thing that makes this moment feel so strong: authenticity. Jungkook is not the type of artist who easily loses control in front of the camera. He is known to be very careful in his speech and behavior. Precisely because of that, when there's one small moment that seems unplanned, the impact becomes much bigger. As if, for the first time, the public saw a small gap from the human side of a superstar. And maybe that's what makes many people feel connected. Behind all the perfections that are often shown on stage, there's a human figure who can still be surprised, nervous, or even speechless in certain situations. Jungkook, who has been seen as a symbol of perfection, suddenly feels more real. On the other hand, Lisa's name itself is not a casual figure. As a member of Blackpink, he also has an extraordinary global influence. His every move is always a concern. The same goes for Jungkook. When these two big names are in one conversation, even without direct interaction, the slightest reaction can be the subject of big speculation. Interestingly, until now, there has been no official clarification from Jungkook or Lisa regarding that moment. No explanation, no rebuttal, no confirmation. This silence actually makes the public more curious. In the entertainment world, sometimes what is not said actually speaks louder than the words themselves. Some fans try to calm the situation by saying that not all expressions should be interpreted too far. They remind that artists are also humans who can react spontaneously without a hidden meaning. But on the other hand, there are also those who feel that the moment is too different to be considered ordinary. The debate continues, dividing public opinion into two camps that are equally convinced of their respective interpretations. But maybe behind all those theories and speculations, there's one thing that is often forgotten: the pressure faced by idols. Their every move is monitored, every expression is analyzed, and every word can be a headline. In such conditions, maintaining a consistent image is not an easy thing. And when one small moment managed to penetrate the layer, the world immediately reacted. Does Jungkook's expression really have a hidden meaning? Or is it just a spontaneous reaction that happened to be caught on camera at the wrong time? No one really knows, except himself. But one thing is for sure, this moment once again proves how big a Jungkook's influence is in the entertainment world. Even without saying anything explicitly, he was able to create a global wave of discussion with just one expression. And perhaps that's where the real power lies, not only in what is seen, but also in what millions of people who witness it feel. Because in a world full of highlights, sometimes the smallest becomes the biggest. The wave of conversation did not subside. Instead, it grew bigger like a snowball that kept rolling nonstop. The video clip that only lasts a few seconds is now circulating on various platforms, repeated, analyzed, even used as the main content by many creators. Everyone seems to have their own point of view to explain what really happened at that moment. And in the midst of an endless whirlpool of opinions, Jungkook's name is again the center of attention, not because of his stunning stage performance, but because of an expression that feels so honest and unfiltered. Many began to associate this incident with old patterns that previously escaped attention. Some old fans even re-dig up video archives, interviews, to award moments that once showed indirect interaction between Jungkook and Lisa. There is a glimpse at an event, there is a small reaction when the name is mentioned in another context, and now all the pieces seem to be put together into one big story that makes the public even more curious. But behind all the growing theories, there is something much deeper than just relationship speculation. Many are starting to realize that this moment is not just about Lisa, but about how someone like Jungkook, who has always looked so restrained, can show a slightly different side in front of the camera. And precisely because of that difference, this moment feels so strong. In an industry like K-pop, where image and self-control are everything, every little detail can be very meaningful. Idols are trained to maintain expression, choose words carefully, and avoid reactions that can be misinterpreted. But no human is truly perfect in controlling himself every second. There is always a small gap, a brief moment where a natural reaction appears without having time to filter. And when it happens in front of the camera, the result can be something unexpected. Some pop culture analysts even began to discuss this phenomenon as evidence that the public is increasingly interested in the authentic side of an idol. They argue that in this era, fans not only want to see perfection, but also honesty, even if it is only seen in a split second. Jungkook's different-looking expression becomes a symbol of something bigger, a longing for reality in the middle of a world full of imagery. On the other hand, the names of BTS and Blackpink, which are both at the top of the industry, make this situation more sensitive. These two groups are not just artists, but also representations of great power in the global entertainment world. Everything that involves them, no matter how small, will almost certainly be in the international spotlight. No wonder if just one expression can trigger a long discussion involving millions of people from various parts of the world. Interestingly, in the midst of this hustle and bustle, there are also voices trying to restore perspective. Some fans remind that not everything has to have a hidden meaning. They emphasize that Jungkook has the right to have a spontaneous reaction without having to be burdened with various interpretations. However, these voices are often drowned between waves of more dramatic and eye-catching theories. And this is where the dilemma arises. On the one hand, the public wants to understand and feel closer to their idol. On the other hand, every effort to understand can actually turn into an increasing pressure for the idol. Jungkook may only experience one small, unintentional moment, but the impact becomes so wide that it is difficult to control. Time goes on, but the discussion about this moment has not subsided. In fact, some media are starting to make it the main ingredient in their reports, highlighting how one expression can become a global phenomenon. This once again shows how strong the influence of visuals is in today's digital world, where images and videos often speak louder than words. Will one day Jungkook give an explanation about that moment? Or will he choose to remain silent and let the public interpret it themselves? No one knows for sure. But what is clear, every step he takes after this will continue to be monitored more intensely than before. Meanwhile, Lisa's name remains in the vortex of this story, even though she herself did nothing in that moment. This shows how strong the relationship of perception is in the public eye, that even without a direct presence, a person can still be part of a great narrative just because it is mentioned in a certain context. In the end, this story is not only about Jungkook, not only about Lisa, but about how the modern world works. About how 1 second can be repeated thousands of times, analyzed from various angles, and turned into a story that continues to develop. About how humans try to find meaning, even in things that may actually be simple. And perhaps, in the midst of all this, there is one question that still hangs without a definite answer. Do we really see something real, or just see what we want to believe? Because sometimes what is clearly visible does not necessarily mean anything. But in a world full of curiosity, even uncertainty can become a story that never ends.